We learned a lot in terms of, how to firstly try to contribute towards gender transformative change, which is it's a very complex, tricky issue. Another thing we learned was around how to best collaborate with grassroots organizations as partners. So for the first learning, I would say, I think we learned that if we want to have any chance to try to challenge and attack and transform some of those root causes that lead to gender inequalities and other forms of inequality and discrimination, it's really important to center the ideas and approaches of local partners. Really important to build into any project time to have deep exchanges and conversations on inequalities in the local context, what the impacts are locally for people affected by these inequalities, and really to think out of the box together with partners to think up locally adapted methods and approaches. So there's so many examples of how we did that. One was just in terms of the thought processes and procedures that we went through with our local partner in trying to find what type of livelihood to train our project participants in, which we eventually settled on weaving and tailoring, which was quite important because it's something that persons with albinism can do sheltered from the sun. It would also be something we knew where we would be challenging gender norms, as I mentioned, because that's typically a job carried out by men. So through the project, we learned a lot in terms of, I think, the difficulties and challenges and sometimes even backlash that can occur when you are challenging stigmas that surround people with albinism, as well as challenging gender norms as sort of a double whammy, I think, in our project. But we had many really important conversations with our local partner and the gender champions that we had trained on how best to even approach the topic or issue or concept of gender equality at a community level. And we also believe, and I think what we learned is that it's so important to have that close relationship and to foster that close relationship with your local partner. And that in itself takes a lot of time, and that needs to be really built into the project and workings of Canadian SMOs. We at UFE, at the university, we sort of saw our role there as channeling funds, but also assisting with key things like monitoring and evaluation and reporting, and helping to build capacity of this very small grassroots organization, and also helping to translate for them some of the requirements on the side of the donor. And for sure, our grassroots organization learned so much as well, as did we.